The Spirit Hunter series made a name for itself in the adventure horror genre by bringing Japanese folklore to a modern setting. The tone was matched with excellent sound design and a narrative that immersed all who played. While the future of the series was up for debate, the developer managed to create a sequel with the help of fan demand, which brought us Spirit Hunter Deathmark 2. While some gameplay systems have been altered, the core themes and excellent story direction make this a must-play release for genre fans. Spirit Hunter Deathmark 2 takes place at Konohara Academy. In this entry, the school for the most part serves as a base of operation for the nameable protagonist, Kazuo Yashiki, as he investigates a supernatural case revolving around a spirit known as the Departed. It's only been a short time since our resident Spirit Hunter had to solve the case of the Mark Bearers from the first game. Still, he's made it his job to investigate strange occurrences around Tokyo's H-City and hopefully ascend evil spirits. It would be wise to play the original Deathmark before this release, given how the sequel is based on the true ending where most of the characters survived, but it's good to understand their bonds before playing. The writing does a decent job of helping you remember with extra character descriptions and flashbacks to scenes, but for the best experience, just play the original. You can maybe skip NG, but even some aspects of that story pop up, so I don't want to spoil anything. Anyway, Deathmark 2 introduces enough new elements to approach storytelling and differentiate itself enough to stand out on its own. However, I will say that the questions and investigation scenes are much more straightforward in this release. There was very little challenge when trying to progress, with key items and puzzles being more accessible to spot since this game added a few new gameplay elements to limit pixel hunting on static images. While still immersive and horrifying, the ghost stories are a little easier this time, with consequences not weighing so heavily on the player's actions. You're allowed to make a few mistakes here, and that does create a more relaxed environment, so that's just something to keep in mind. Each chapter introduces a new element of the core Departed case, but you'll have to get through several deathly ghost stories before solving it. By the middle of the game, I already had a good idea of the cause of the killings, but that didn't stop the writing from introducing a few more twists. The game impressively juggles its multiple characters and utilizes their strengths to move the narrative along, creating tension and even building suspicion about who or what is behind all of this. The new characters, while primarily high schoolers, approach interactions with carelessness and arrogance that create a more depressed mood, ultimately setting the dreary backdrop's tone. I mean, all your friends are dying, so it makes sense that it would be a little uneasy. While the previous games were more point-and-click dungeon crawlers, Experience has developed a side-scroller style horror game where you move throughout the school and enter various buildings and corridors by interacting with them when you're close. Points of interest create a glow which leads to items or just a comment from the characters. You're allowed to bring another character with you during investigations. While some returning characters can also join you, others like Moe Watanabe lend their support in other ways, such as by selling you items that improve your stats. The currency used here are basically these lost tooths, which are hidden throughout each chapter. Sometimes obtaining these items require a character on your team with the correct stats, so checking everything is important. In later chapters, you do end up leaving the school, so the world does get a little larger, but the back and forth nature always seems to be present. To combat this is a fairly swift running option that turned into my go-to way of navigating the in-game worlds. The side-scrolling system does make backtracking kind of an issue. While there are fast travel points, some parts of the school are significant, and having to go through each classroom multiple times to investigate the room becomes pretty repetitive. This new exploration system also limits true immersion and tension, which is evident given that the jump scares now occur only between loading screens. I just felt like the first-person nature of the original game had you constantly wondering what's behind you, but here, you can clearly see that the characters are safe. Still, the animations are nice, and the explorable environments are gorgeous. Some moments of the game go into the first-person mode, which to me highlights some of the scarier moments of gameplay. During dialogue, you can make choices or question other characters. Over time, you'll collect specific talking points, but there never seem to be any consequences for asking the wrong question or bringing up a topic that didn't make sense. The only time your choices matter is when choosing a specific character during a suspensive act and basically rolling for a successful outcome, with failure resulting in lost spirit energy but improved odds of success. You are allowed to choose which character you wish to investigate, which also affects the outcome of these choices. This suspensive act system is also found during fight scenes where you have to survive against spirit attacks using items gathered during investigations. Like limited challenges, these fights are more or less trial and error as you choose combinations of the characters and actions and try to tame the spirit. However, there are really no consequences for dying here, and the tension is removed by how the odds of success rise significantly if you fail. That said, I failed a roll even with a 91% success rate, so anything is possible here. But I didn't have the same weight of my choices on me as I did in the first game. It's as if this entry wants you to see it till the end, but a few in-game choices alter specific events. I'll just let you discover those on your own. Spirit Hunter Deathmark 2 becomes a sum of many parts. Its characters are excellently presented in a way that makes each memorable. The protagonist is also much more pronounced this time around. His confidence makes scenes more comfortable, but when events occur that make even him scared, you know it's getting real. Other factors, such as the illustrations and sound design, do well to immerse players in the world, but the side-scrolling elements do cut the tension a bit. Still, the experience is genuinely captivating and one that all horror fans will enjoy. The writing here is just some of the best from the developer and will easily become the highlight for all who play. In terms of extra options, players can adjust the jump scares and have access to a gallery to review some of the great and very scary illustrations. I will also add that the runtime is about 12 hours that felt a bit short, but there are reasons to replay to find missed items or explore new dialogue paths. Spirit Hunter Deathmark 2 defines the series as a mainstay within this genre. It delivers on narrative, setting, and sound design, which are key components of any horror adventure. While the changes here create a different experience compared to the first-person dungeon crawling of its predecessor, it still manages to captivate the character relationships and spine-chilling Japanese lore that fans come to love. Here's to the future of the series, because I don't think I can get enough. Noisy Pixel is giving Spirit Hunter Deathmark 2 an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.